My name is Judge Christine Arguello. I'm a judge on the Federal District Court. That means I'm appointed for life, but I went through a very rigorous process to get here. I was nominated by the President of the United States and confirmed by the United States Senate. But I wasn't always a judge. Believe it or not, at one point, I was as young as you are. I was full of dreams and expectations for my life, and I had big dreams. But I realized that dreams alone were not going to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish in life, that I was going to have to work hard, and I was going to have to be tenacious, and I was going to make sure that no one was going to stop me from accomplishing my dreams. And that's what I want to talk about with you today. See, I was raised in Buena Vista, which is a small town in the heart of the Rocky Mountains here in Colorado. My parents met picking sugar beets in the fields. So I'm not much different from many of you, except that I never did have to work the fields. My parents made sure of that. My dad left the fields when he married my mother to go to work for the railroad service, but he realized when he was about 35 that he wasn't going to be able to lift railroad ties that much longer. So he left his job there and went to barber school. And that's how I ended up in Buena Vista. He was the town barber. Now, as a young girl, I was raised in a family where my dad believed that girls did all the housework and boys didn't have anything to do with the home because that was a woman's work. And I remember as a young girl thinking to myself and actually talking to God, believe it or not. I was standing on a chair in the kitchen washing dishes when I was 6 years old, while my brothers were sitting in the other room watching TV and laughing at some program that was on. And I remember saying to God, God, why did you make me a girl? Why couldn't I have been a boy so that I could be sitting in there watching TV with my brothers? Now, of course, God didn't answer me directly, but what he did do was he made me see that it didn't matter if I was a girl, that if I set my mind to it and I was willing to work hard, I could accomplish whatever I wanted. My first dream was to be a school teacher, just like Mrs. Cole, my fourth grade school teacher, because she was very kind and she was very encouraging of me. And that was also the only role model that I ever had up to that point in the professional world. Now, I was fortunate in that when I was 13, I was an avid reader. I read everything. I'd read the back of cereal boxes. I'd read the newspaper, although mostly the comics, because I loved to read. And I was in the library one day with a friend of mine. She was talking to the librarian about some research project she had to do, and I was bored. I happened to look down, and there on a table was a magazine. And I picked it up and I started leafing through it, and there was an article on lawyers and law schools. And I was intrigued. It was the first thing that had ever occurred to me that I could be something other than just a school teacher. And not that school teachers are bad. I think school teachers are very important. They are the ones who guided me. I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for my school teachers. But I had never dreamed higher education-wise. A college degree was what I thought I needed. But this article talked about how lawyers change the world. And I wanted to change the world. And I didn't know anything about lawyers because my parents didn't even graduate from high school. So I'm a first-generation high school graduate. There was no one there to guide me in the family. But in my simple way of thinking, I thought, well, lawyers like to argue with people. I like to argue with people, and I usually win my arguments. So I think I'd make a pretty good lawyer. The article went on to talk about law schools, and it said Harvard was the best law school. Now, I'm a small-town girl from Buena Vista. I had no idea where Harvard even was. I didn't know that it was 2,000 miles east. I didn't know what it took to get there. All I could think was that, well, to get into the best law school, I'm going to have to be the best student. Now, I'm lucky that God did bless me with some brains, but I'm not a genius. I worked very hard to get wherever I want to go. And I think some intelligence with a lot of hard work is what generally makes someone successful. So from that point on, age 13, I wasn't satisfied with getting an A in my class. I had to have the top grade because I had to be the best student to get into the best law school. And that's what I set my mind to. Now you're going to hear from a few of the students who have gone through our program. One is in law school, and the others are still in college. But I hope from their statements you will come to see that there are a lot of students who come from your circumstances who have been successful in college and are now in law school or are well on their way to law school. And I hope that you will apply to the program if you would all have an interest in becoming a lawyer.
Hi everyone, my name is Larissa O'Leary and I am speaking to you as a first-year law student at Colorado Law School. I graduated in 2016 from York International High School, which was a small public school in Thornton, Colorado. I am a first-generation low-income Latina student, which means that I am the first in my family to have attended college, and I grew up low-income, surviving off of governmental services as my father was incarcerated most of my life. I decided to go to college because I knew it was the only way I would be able to escape the generational poverty that had plagued my family for generations. I also really enjoyed learning, which was helpful in terms of studying in school. Yet applying to schools was so difficult when I was in high school because I didn't know where to begin. No one in my family, as I had mentioned, had went to college before. I had no idea the difference between loans and grants and scholarships. And if not for my high school guidance counselor, Miss GT at York International, I probably would not have attended college. Yet even with her guidance, there was still these array of obstacles where I had applied for scholarships and had been denied, or I had been denied admission to schools I thought I was going to get into. And even at one point, I was a finalist for the Daniels Fund, and I was very hopeful that I was going to get this full ride scholarship. And at the end, I was not awarded the scholarship. And I remember just panicking, like, how am I going to pay for school? My family has no savings for me. I don't have any savings myself, being 17 because I was younger in my class. And I just had to keep going. I had to keep persisting. And I ended up awarded attendance to Coe College, which is a small private arts college in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where I was offered a full ride scholarship. And so I moved my center of life from Denver all the way to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which was 750 miles away from where I grew up and where my family was, because I needed to obtain my education, and I knew it was the only way I was going to help myself and my family. My obstacles in college were accumulated more so being a person of color in a predominantly white institution. Just moving from my community that was 80% Latino to moving to Iowa, where it was less than 5% for my college and less than 2% for the state. And so those were things I had to get used to, but it didn't mean that I wasn't less worthy of my admission spot. If anything, I was more worthy because I had the diversity and that perspective that many students didn't have because they didn't grow up in a low-income area. They didn't have experience with how policies affect people from the bottom down the way that I did. So during my time at Coe College, I was able to accumulate a lot of internships. I was able to go on DC term, which was so helpful because I was able to work on the Hill for Senator Bennett, and I was able to see how does policy work in action, how does the legislature work, and how are these policies implemented in a way that actually affect my community. I was there during when the DREAM Act was represented again and it failed. I was able to lobby for LULAC during that time, and it was just so miraculous to see how my educational placement had impacted what I was doing and how it was impacting my community as well. I then started to turn my attention to interpersonal violence victims, which is why I'm going to law school, but I'll talk about that in a second. But basically, I was able to look at how domestic violence and sexual assault inadequately impacts Latino women, and specifically that they are not disproportionately impacted, but that they lack access to resources that English-speaking women have access to. And so in my research doing this, I was able to accumulate that it wasn't that Latina women were experiencing this violence more, that they couldn't access the resources. And so after all of this research, I was selected as a Truman Scholar, which is a national scholarship that showed that with my policy proposal that the issue obviously is not more violence, it's the lack of access to resources. And so what I had proposed was to implement Spanish language training services into law enforcement to help access to resources for Latina women. And this really fueled why I wanted to go to law school, because lots of times, and I can talk about this for myself, maybe not for others, but I felt that the incarceration of my father was too stringent and it was too long for the domestic violence that he had committed and his own drug addiction, because they just kind of locked him away for X amount of time. And it didn't help my mom, it didn't help me or my sister, because here we are living in poverty, lacking access to resources, whereas the state is giving this sense of justice, and it wasn't a sense of justice because we were left to pick up the pieces of the violence that had happened. And so this is really why I'm in law school, and I really want to use my legal career and my legal tools that I'm gaining to help victims of interpersonal violence not only receive justice, but to heal from that. And basically, I am talking to you today because I am a 2016 Law School Yes We Can Fellow. Law School Yes We Can is a program that was spearheaded by Judge Cristina Arguello. Which you should get to know her very well, because she will do everything in her power to help you and push you forward. Her program helps a high school senior and other college students who are in either their freshman to their junior year apply to law school. And it's for those who are from underrepresented backgrounds. And that doesn't just mean you're a person of color. It means you could have a learning disability, you have a different religion, I think we have a student who has a disability. And so it's all of those accumulation of different backgrounds where they're not represented in the legal community. And the legal community has a lot to make up for, because a small portion of the legal community is Latino, which is insane, because the majority of so much of Colorado has Latinx culture, but that's not reflected in our legal culture. And so Law School Yes We Can provides you mentorship and provides you networks. Because of Law School Yes We Can, I was able to work on the Hill. I was able to intern with Judge Ramirez in the 17th Judicial District. I was able to accumulate all of these internships and networks and coffee meetings with these people who I would have never met if it wasn't for Law School Yes We Can. And so if you learn anything from this video, it's that you need to join this program if you are interested in pursuing law, because it will help you in any way that you want. Whatever you put into this program, you are going to get out 10 times more, because they want you to be successful. And so if you're considering a legal career, this is what I recommend for you. Please join Law School Yes We Can. At least, at the very least, try to meet Judge Arguello, because she will help you in any way that she can, as she has done for me. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email is larissa.aliri@gmail.com. That's larissa.alire@gmail.com. Okay, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Hello, my name is Nikanda Nungaray. I am currently a junior at the University of Denver studying property development. I'm a first-generation Hispanic student, the middle child of 5, and our mother is a widow. Back when I was in high school, as a sophomore, I was trying to graduate a year early. I went to my guidance counselor for help and guidance because I had already taken every possible college credit class that they were offering me, and I only needed gym credits to graduate. He was very hesitant to help me, saying that I would benefit more from staying an extra year because I would be missing out on the high school experience and high school opportunities. I knew that in order to get what I believed was best for me and what my mentors and family agreed with was to take a leap of faith. I graduated early in 2019. When I graduated, I had a full ride scholarship to the University of Denver, and I had transferred over a year worth of college credits, which made me a sophomore first year. What I learned from this experience was that as first generations, it's incredibly hard to get the help and resources we need when we want to succeed and go to college. So if you have mentors or family or even a club that can help you, take advantage of it, because people will always try to tear you down. From the minute I could think of, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I don't know what type of law I'm interested in at the moment, but I know that Law School Yes We Can will be able to help me find the path I want to take once I start law school. They have the resources, the people, and the connections to help me figure it out and experience. When I joined Law School Yes We Can, I had no idea how much they would benefit me. I've gone to numerous workshops and I learned how to write a resume, how to get an internship, how to take an interview, and it was just amazing information that I got from all these workshops. I've gone to events where I've met amazing lawyers and amazing judges, and I've made so many connections. I also have three amazing mentors who are always there for me. They help me out, they motivate me, and they give me advice. And I know I always have the judges who I can always ask questions to. Law School Yes We Can has been an amazing part of my life this past year, and I have no idea where I would be without them.
Hi, everybody. My name is Adriana Guadanahuizar, and I am a current senior at College of the Holy Cross in Worcester, Massachusetts. I attended high school here in Denver, Oripe Jesuit High School, and just me saying that I am a senior in college is absolutely wow to me. I am the first in my family to have gone to college, and I will, with the grace of God, be the first in my family to graduate from college. And that for me is something that I am forever thankful for, because if it wasn't for support systems and if it wasn't for people who believed in me and knew that I could eventually make it to senior year in college, I don't know that I would be where I am today. As a first in my family and as a Latina, um, the notion of college can definitely be something that's very daunting and very stressful. I know that it was for me. I didn't entirely understand everything that was included in the college application process, in terms of financial aid. Like, I didn't know what schools were able for me to attend, and that they would be willing to pay whatever my family couldn't pay, or the scholarships that I could apply to, the many generous help that so many organizations and individuals offer. I wouldn't have known any of that if it wasn't for um, a lot of support systems that I had. I'm forever thankful for my college counselors and for programs like Law School Yes We Can, who have continuously instilled in me um, belief in myself, and their belief in me has definitely propelled me to continue going forward. Law School Yes We Can has been a program that has connected me with amazing mentors that definitely want to see me um, finish college and pursue my dream of becoming an immigration attorney. I've been wanting to be an immigration attorney since I saw the struggles that my mom faced when she was filling out an application for citizenship, and didn't entirely understand all of the legal measures that were going on in that application. Um, since then, I've dedicated most of my college career, and like summers and winters when I was in high school, to try to benefit or try to help my community who needs this assistance. Oftentimes, I've definitely wanted to serve my community and be somebody that can definitely help these individuals in difficult processes of their time. The immigrant and refugee community needs more Latina attorneys, and that is something that I've definitely noticed and something that I wholeheartedly want to pursue. That personal connection and the personal stories and the stories so many individuals have shared with me is something that I definitely keep close to my heart, and that has been my fuel to continue. That has been my fuel that has put me through school and hopefully will continue going on into law school. So I say to you that I definitely hope that you don't let um, boundaries or any limits stop you from achieving what you dream, especially if those boundaries and limits are imposed by yourself, because a lot of times we're in systems that weren't entirely created for us. But it's important to recognize that wherever we go, we have been admitted and we belong there. And that um, may be difficult on numerous levels for many of us, but it's important to remind yourself that these systems weren't created for individuals like us, and the longer we're there, the more people we can bring along on this crazy journey of ours. So I definitely encourage each and every single one of you to apply to law school. Yes, we can. If you're a current senior, we definitely have applications that will be on our website starting in January of 2021. So I definitely encourage you to apply, because it's an amazing organization that connects you to individuals who have been in your shoes at one point and who want to be your cheerleaders throughout the ups and the downs. So I definitely encourage each and every single one of you to apply. The resources are incredible. The programming that the program puts on is super beneficial and helps you through many stages of life, and through the law school application process, but also college process. So that's my plug-in, and I definitely want to encourage and motivate each and every single one of you. Something that's always kept me going is knowing that somebody relates to me in a lot of senses, and knowing that if that person is doing it, then you can too. So I wish you all well, and I hope you all take care.
Hi, my name is Valeria Gomez. I am a first-generation Latina student. My parents are from Parral, Chihuahua, Mexico, and they came over to the U.S. about 26 years ago in search of the American dream. And they've been working really hard ever since to be able to provide for my 3 siblings and I. I grew up in Denver. I always have lived in Denver, and I went to high school at Arupe Jesuit High School, where I was a part of mock trial and soccer and a bunch of other extracurricular activities. And then I went to the University of Denver, where I'm now in my junior year studying accounting with minors in leadership and business ethics and legal studies. I really like being outside and going swimming, and I like to watch Netflix and spend time with people that I love. As a first generation Latina student, I always have been more than just a student. I help my mom by translating for her at doctor appointments or tax season with her accountant, and all kinds of parent-teacher conferences for myself and my siblings since I was really young. And so family has always been a really big part of my life. Growing up, my mom always taught us about the importance of having a good education so we could build a good career and be independent. And especially as women, she taught us the value in being independent. And so in high school, I thought of college as a next step for me. The part that was more difficult for me was figuring out how I was going to finance my education, because my parents had no savings for my siblings and I to be able to go to college. So in my senior year, I would stay up really late and I would apply to scholarships. I applied to about 80 scholarships that year, and it was a lot of hard work, but it was really worth it. I've wanted to be an attorney since I was 8 years old, and at first it was just an answer that I would give adults when they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, because I thought that it sounded smart. But the older I got and the more I learned about it, I realized that I did want to become an attorney, and the reason why was because I wanted to create positive impact in the society that we live in a systemic way. And I want to create more opportunities for people who are marginalized. The area that I would like to practice in is possibly corporate and doing immigration and wrongful conviction work on a pro bono basis, so that I could use my business degree in terms of my corporate practice. And I'm very passionate about immigration and wrongful conviction law, but there is still lots of room for growth and a lot of different areas for me to explore and learn more about. So I have a while to be able to really decide where I would like to focus, and it may change and evolve over time, over the span of my career. The reason why I'm such a strong believer in the Law School Yes We Can program is because Judge Arguello and her team have worked really hard to create a program that's very well-rounded and prepares us to go to law school, but it also gives us the soft skills that we need to know how to behave in the workplace and how to communicate effectively, and all the while giving us the skills and the resources to prepare for the LSAT, and really gives us mentors that I believe will be with me for life. The sense of support that I feel from them is very different from any other program or any other place that I have worked in, and I think it's very valuable because they are people who often look like us, and they have been through the same struggles that we've been through, and they are now successful attorneys, and they're there because they truly want to see us succeed, and they truly believe in us and our potential. And I think that that is something that you won't get any other place.
Hello, my name is Maria Arias, and I'm the Executive Director of Law School Yes We Can and a Diversity and Inclusion Consultant here in Colorado. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my story with the hope of inspiring you to do whatever it is that you would like to pursue in your future. I'm an immigrant from Mexico, from a small rural town called Santa Ana Maya, and I'll tell you that my journey here in the United States was not that easy. As young as in elementary school, and especially in high school, it was always a sense of feeling like I didn't belong, because my family was always in the minority. We grew up in a predominantly white working class neighborhood, but we were able, through the hard efforts of my parents, to go to Catholic schools for elementary school as well as high school. So the population there was very different than those of our neighborhoods. At a very young age, I knew that in order to succeed, I was going to have to work harder, work longer, and be better than my peers, because as a woman and a woman of color, it just seemed like I didn't fit in anywhere. Well, I knew that I was also going to have to be a scholarship recipient in order to go to the schools that I wanted to, because my family couldn't afford to send me there. So that's exactly what I did. And what it entailed was a lot of determination, a lot of organization, and some sacrifices. I know that high school and college are some great times and memories for many who have the ability to spend the time on social activities. Well, to be honest, those are some of the things that I sacrificed. I worked and I studied and I went to school. But I'll never regret that, because now that I've had my own children, they've had the ability to go to schools and to focus on the entire experience, whether it was in high school or whether it was in college. I went after college on a scholarship, full ride, to law school, also full ride to Northwestern University Law School, which is an amazing institution. And I received a great education, which really prepared me for, the big game, which in the law was going to one of the major firms. I was very fortunate to work at McDermott, Will & Emery. It was an amazingly accepting environment, very hardworking, and a great training firm, and I made partner there. But I wanted to branch out, especially at a time when I was having children, which I had delayed because I wanted to make partner. That's kind of what you had to do in those days. And went to work for multiple corporations to broaden my experience, and also really to get a better sense of how to run a business. And so I worked at companies like AT&T and became one of the individuals, one of 7 in the entire country to get a certain role, as there was more competition emerging in the telephone and communications industries. I moved over into government affairs, and then when I moved to different companies, I actually ran a business, because I kept seeing that there was only one top lawyer in an organization, but many leaders at different segments of a business. So Comcast offered me the opportunity to come in and learn how to run cable systems, and I did that. So not only have I been a lawyer, a government affairs professional, I was a cable operator, and then as I was working along in my career, preparing to hopefully run an entire region or division at some point, I was asked by the corporate leadership to build the first diversity inclusion entire corporate department and program for all of Comcast and all of its operating entities, and I did that. And I will tell you that that was the beginning of a changing career for me, because being able to work hard, it's a lot of hard work, but to see the changes in a culture that occur when there's commitment from the top to really create a different environment and to create more opportunities and to think twice about some of the standard things that have been done and develop new ways of operating so that you can have a more inclusive company and give people who otherwise would not have the opportunity a chance. And so after doing that, when I moved back to Denver and in theory retired, I heard about Law School Yes We Can and felt very passionate about it and did some fundraising for it, and am now serving as the executive director and running the organization, but also continuing to do my diversity inclusion consulting and doing a little bit of writing as well. If you had asked me 30-something years ago that I would be a lawyer, a partner at one of the major firms in Chicago, that I would be a C-suite executive at a company like Comcast, and that I'd have my own business, I would say maybe, because I think I had such a narrow vision and all I wanted to do was be a very successful lawyer in a big firm. But I think what life has taught me, and what I hope it teaches you, is that if you get a very good education, if you work hard, and you take career risks, you raise your hand for new projects and new things, even though you may not feel like you're qualified, as long as you're smart and as long as you're hardworking, you will figure it out and get there. So in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, I hope you take a lot of risks, the right risks. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to leave your neighborhood. You have to sometimes focus first on your education and your career in order to make it a better life for your family. Thank you.
Now, during your lifetime, you're going to encounter obstacles, roadblocks that are going to be put in your way to dissuade you from accomplishing your dreams. And I faced a lot of those obstacles. And all I can say is that you just can't let anybody determine what your future is going to be. The first obstacle I faced, of course, was being raised in a macho Hispanic family where girls were expected to do housework and get married and take care of their families, not go to college. Luckily for me, I was the la lista, is what they called me, the smart one in the family. And my dad wanted a doctor in the family, so he always encouraged me to go on to college. The second obstacle, and the biggest obstacle that I think you will face, is going to be peer pressure. People who say they're your friends, but when you confide in them what your dreams are, look at you and say, how do you dare to dream so big? How are you going to accomplish that? And probably one of the most traumatic events of my life took place when I was a junior in high school. You see, I never shared with my classmates my dream of going to Harvard. I actually didn't even share it with my family because I just didn't think anybody would understand that dream, which was so lofty. But in my junior year in high school, my high school English teacher one day decided to ask us what we were going to do when we got out of high school. And I sat in the middle of the classroom, and she started on one end, and I remember listening with one ear, and there was this raging battle going on in my head. Do I really share with them what my dreams are? Will they understand? But as I listened to them applaud the plans of each of my other classmates, I thought, well, maybe they would understand. So when it came my turn, they said, Chris, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to be a lawyer, and I'm going to Harvard Law School. Now, I expected the same sort of applause and cheers that everybody else got, But what I got instead was absolute silence in that room. And it seemed like an eternity, although I know it couldn't have been more than a second or two. And then someone said, ha, 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 Chris Martinez thinks she can go to Harvard. And the entire class erupted into laughter. And it cut me to the bone, that laughter, because these were supposedly my friends. I'd grown up with them. And I don't remember the rest of that school day. I just remember being in a bathroom stall because nobody was going to see me cry. And thinking to myself, yes, who did I think I am? How am I going to go to Harvard Law School? And as I sat in that bathroom stall, the flame that was my ambition started to flicker and die out. I was lucky because Mrs. Poplin, my high school English teacher, was waiting for me when school let out. And I didn't realize she was waiting for me. I thought she was just standing in the hall, but she stopped me. She looked me directly in the eye and she said, Chris, I know you can do it. Those 7 words turned my life around because instead of giving up on my dream, I decided that I was going to get up, dust myself off, and I was going to go to Harvard because I was coming back to my 10th year reunion and that my classmates were going to have to eat that laughter. And I still wonder today whether I would have worked as hard as I did to get into Harvard if it hadn't been for that laughter ringing in my ears every day. And I tell you this for several reasons. Number one, if you are a true friend, you will not laugh at the dreams of your friends. You will encourage them because no one thought it was possible for this little chicanita to go to Harvard, to come from being a first-generation high school graduate to Harvard Law School, to being on the federal district court bench, appointed by the president. Those were impossible dreams to most people, but they weren't to me. I just worked hard, and I didn't let anyone get in my way. So that's the message I want to pass on to you. There will be obstacles, but it is the obstacles that make you the person you are. If you had no obstacles, if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and everything got handed to you, you would never grow to your full potential. So take advantage of those. I see obstacles as opportunities to succeed. And you won't always succeed. You may fall off that horse and you may have to pick yourself up and think, how do I do it now? What should I do to accomplish where I want to go? But as I said, you can't just dream big. You have to work hard. You have to be tenacious. Sometimes you're going to have to go around those obstacles. Sometimes you're going to have to climb over them. But if you're willing to work hard and dream big, then you can accomplish those, whatever your dreams are. And I also want to share with you a program that I started back in 2014. It's a program called Law School Yes We Can, Si Se Puede. And it is designed for students who are from Colorado, who are going to go on to college and want to become lawyers or think they might want to become lawyers. Maybe you're doing mock trial. Maybe you're doing debate. Maybe you just saw something on TV or read a magazine article that made you think, oh, I could be a lawyer and I think I'd enjoy being a lawyer. Well, I can tell you that being a lawyer is the best career possible. I have loved every single job I've ever had, and I've had a lot of different jobs in the legal profession. But I started this program because I realized that there were a lot of students like me, still today, who are first generation, low income, have obstacles in their road. They don't know how to go from being a high school student through college to law school. And I thought, why should it be left to serendipity? Which is what I think my life has been, a lot of serendipity, fortunate happenstance. God placed me in certain roads and put certain things in my path, such as the magazine article, such as Mrs. Poplin. And I thought, let's remove the serendipity. Let's help these students figure out what it is really to be a lawyer, because I really had no idea. I thought lawyers just went to court and argued. That's what you saw on TV. But there's so many different facets to being a lawyer. So Law School Yes We Can is a program where we take graduating high school seniors who are going on to college who think they might want to become a lawyer. Now, we don't make you sign in blood that you are, and I have a lot of students that have gone on to do different things, such as medical school, graduate school in different areas. Some just decided that they were happy with where they are after they get their college degree. But we help them get through college. We give them mentors, 2 lawyers, 1 senior, 1 less senior, and then a law student, who work with them throughout their entire 4 years of college, or however long it takes you to get through college. And we provide classes, workshops, which essentially will tell you what lawyers really do. They'll work with you on soft skills such as networking and why that's so important, because I certainly had no idea even after I became a lawyer. We work with you on what type of student learner are you, what kind of personality do you have for leadership, and understanding how other people have different personalities and how you bring those 2 personalities together to accomplish a common purpose. I now have, from this program, 5 students in law school. 2 are going to graduate this next spring, 1 from CU Law School and 1 from DU Law School. I have 2 more that just started at CU Law School. They're 1Ls, what we call 1Ls, their first year. And I have 1 who is going to Howard University. And I have 1 who is still in college, but he actually was an early admit to my alma mater, Harvard Law School. He will graduate from the University of Pennsylvania next year. He will take a year off to go to work, and then he will go on to Harvard. So I encourage you, if you all have an interest in becoming a lawyer, go to our website, lawschoolyeswecan.org, and in January, the applications for next year will be out. Please fill out an application. You'll have to go through an interview process, but it's very easy. I will tell you, I'm one of the interviewers. I just want to get to know you better, let you get to know us a little bit so you can make an informed decision as to whether our program would be a program that you'd like to participate in. All the kids in the program are like my grandkids. And I used to say kids, but now I'm getting to the age where they're grandkids. And I love every one of them. I think they have a deep respect for me. They call me at all different times just to talk, and I love talking to them. I love seeing the growth in them. So I hope to see you next spring if you're a senior. If you're less than a senior in high school right now, then hopefully you will remember this video, and in years to come, you will apply to the program. Thank you.